Ladies and gentlemen, let us speak today of beautiful eyes and honest lies, a phrase that seems to dance between love and illusion, perception and truth. In this modern age, we are often captivated by beauty, whether it is the enchanting gaze of a lover, the mesmerizing allure of the world around us, or the fleeting moments of affection we experience. Yet, as the ancient Stoics would remind us, what we see is not always what is real. And therein lies the profound tension we must come to understand. Perception versus reality is a fundamental concept that lies at the heart of much philosophical inquiry, particularly within Stoicism. It is the delicate tension between what is seen, experienced, or understood at a surface level and the deeper truths that lie beneath. As humans, we are inherently drawn to the external world, to what is visible, to what we can touch, hear, and smell. Our senses guide us through life, and yet Stoicism teaches that these very senses are often the source of misunderstanding and misjudgment. Our eyes, in particular, are the primary instruments through which we perceive the world. They allow us to witness the beauty of nature, the faces of loved ones, the grandeur of the stars above, and the intricate details of life that make the world feel vibrant and alive. And yet, the Stoics caution us that what we see may not always represent reality. The beauty of a sunset, for example, may evoke feelings of awe and wonder, but it is not the true nature of the sunset we are experiencing. It is merely the impression that our senses give us. The reality is that the sunset is the result of scientific phenomena, the bending of light as it interacts with the atmosphere. But the experience of its beauty is subjective, emotional, and fleeting. This discrepancy between perception and reality is not just an abstract concern for philosophers, but a practical one that affects every aspect of our lives. We often form judgments based on what we see, whether it's in our relationships, our professional lives, or our internal emotional states. We perceive people as good or bad based on their actions, their words, and their expressions. But Stoicism, in its wisdom, teaches us that these judgments can be misleading. We may think we understand someone based on their outward appearance or the way they present themselves. But we must remember that external actions and behaviors often hide deeper motivations, struggles, and complexities. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus, in particular, urges us to cultivate an awareness that perception is merely the first step in our understanding of the world, not the final conclusion. Our senses can lead us to believe in illusions. The sight of a well-dressed individual may lead us to assume they are successful or happy, yet the reality may be entirely different. They might be struggling with personal issues, feelings of inadequacy, or even sorrow that are hidden behind a polished exterior. In this way, the external world, as perceived through our senses, often obscures the truth. Furthermore, Stoic philosophy teaches that much of human suffering stems from our attachment to our perceptions of the world. We desire things to be a certain way, based on how we perceive them to be or how we wish them to be. And when reality doesn't meet these expectations, we suffer. This suffering is born not from the external world itself, but from our misinterpretation of it. For example, we may look at a relationship and believe that it is perfect because of how it looks on the surface, but deeper issues may lie hidden beneath the surface, issues we have failed to perceive. When those issues arise, we feel betrayed or disillusioned because we have based our expectations on a false or incomplete perception of the relationship. The Stoic approach to perception, then, is not to distrust our senses, but rather to be aware of their limitations and to seek deeper truths beyond what we see. The Stoic philosopher is trained to observe carefully and understand fully before reacting emotionally. Rather than assuming that what is perceived is necessarily the truth, we must train ourselves to question, to reflect, and to dig deeper. The Stoic way is not to reject the world as it appears, but to accept that our senses, though vital, can never give us the full picture. It is only through reason, reflection, and understanding that we come closer to the true nature of things. In every moment of our lives, we must be wary of the gap between perception and reality. Whether it's the love we feel for someone, the work we do, or the goals we set, we must remember that perception is often shaped by our desires, our fears, and our biases. It is through cultivating wisdom that we can transcend the superficialities of appearances and come to understand the deeper, more enduring truths that exist beneath the surface. Only then can we live with clarity, making choices that are not driven by fleeting impressions, but by the reality that lies before us, patiently waiting to be discovered. The Stoic view of deception delves deeply into the nature of the world as it appears to us versus the reality beneath that appearance. In Stoic philosophy, one of the core principles is that our emotions, perceptions, and even actions are often clouded by illusion. Our world is filled with deceptive appearances, whether in the form of external events or internal feelings, and Stoicism urges us to cultivate the wisdom and resilience to see beyond these illusions. Deception, from the Stoic perspective, does not only refer to deliberate falsehoods or lies that others tell us. It also includes the subtle deceptions that arise from our own minds and from our subjective view of reality. We are all prone to misinterpretations of what we see, hear, and feel, because we tend to see the world through a lens colored by our desires, expectations, and fears. When we feel anger, for example, we may perceive someone's actions as intentional or malicious, even though their true intentions may be far from what we imagine. Similarly, we may perceive a setback in life as a sign of failure or misfortune, when in fact it is an opportunity for growth or learning. The Stoics believed that much of human suffering is rooted in these very illusions, in the way we deceive ourselves about the world and about our place in it. We see only what our emotions allow us to see, and we fail to distinguish between what is within our control and what is not. This is where the concept of apatheia, or freedom from destructive emotions comes in. The Stoic goal is not to be indifferent to life's challenges, but to remove the emotional fog that makes us see things inaccurately. In this way, Stoicism calls us to examine our beliefs, thoughts, and feelings with critical discernment, and to recognize that many of our emotions are not truths, but mere reactions to the world's appearance. One of the most profound insights in Stoic philosophy is the understanding that deception often arises from the external world itself. We are frequently confronted with things that appear one way, but are, in fact, something else entirely. This happens not only in our relationships, but also in the way we understand success, wealth, and even happiness. We live in a world filled with illusions, advertisements promising happiness through material goods, social media portraying idealized versions of life, and people presenting themselves in ways that may not be authentic. Stoicism encourages us to recognize these deceptions for what they are, distractions from the true, virtuous life. The Stoic philosopher Seneca famously said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." This sentiment highlights the fact that we often deceive ourselves by investing too much in things that do not bring us true peace or fulfillment. In a world driven by appearances, we may chase after wealth, power, or fame, believing that these external markers will lead us to happiness. Yet, when we attain them, we often find that they offer little in terms of lasting contentment. The external world, with its shifting forms and superficial promises, can easily mislead us into thinking that happiness lies in what we have or what others think of us. The Stoic view of deception also emphasizes how we deceive ourselves when we cling too tightly to our expectations. We construct mental images of how things should be, how people should act, or how we should feel. These mental constructions can often lead to frustration, disappointment, and even resentment when reality does not meet our idealized vision. Stoicism encourages us to relinquish these false expectations and accept the world as it is. In doing so, we free ourselves from the illusions that bind us and open ourselves to a deeper understanding of life's true nature. In relationships, the Stoics recognize that deception can be subtle. We may see someone and fall in love with the idea of who they are, rather than who they truly are. We may be deceived by a person's outward charm or beauty, which masks their inner flaws or struggles. Stoicism asks us to approach love with wisdom and clarity, to look beyond the surface and recognize the complexities and imperfections of others. True love, according to Stoicism, is not based on fleeting emotions or idealized images, but on a deep understanding and acceptance of the other person's virtues and flaws. Ultimately, the Stoic view of deception teaches us that we must be vigilant in our quest for truth. Deception, whether it comes from the world or from within ourselves, often blinds us to the reality of things as they truly are. By practicing mindfulness, self-reflection, and reason, we can cut through the illusions and live in alignment with the truth. The Stoic philosopher is not swayed by external appearances or emotional impulses, but seeks to live in accordance with nature, embracing the world as it is, and accepting what is within one's control while letting go of what is not. In doing so, we free ourselves from the shackles of deception and can experience life with a clearer, more grounded perspective. The power of vision, both literal and metaphorical, plays a pivotal role in how we navigate the world. Our eyes, the organs through which we see the external world, are perhaps our most immediate connection to reality. However, Stoic philosophy asks us to reflect on the deeper implications of sight and perception, pushing us to not just see, but to truly understand the world around us. This extends beyond the mere act of physical sight and delves into how we perceive, interpret, and respond to the world, particularly in our relationships and emotional lives. In a literal sense, vision allows us to experience the richness of the world. It brings to life the colors of a sunset, the smiles of loved ones, and the vastness of nature's beauty. Yet even as we gaze upon these things, the Stoics remind us that our eyes, while powerful, are not always reliable guides to truth. Our sight is limited, conditioned by our biases, experiences, and desires. What we perceive is often filtered through the lens of our emotions and expectations. For instance, when we look at another person, we may perceive them as perfect or flawed based on our feelings towards them or our own inner state. A person we admire might appear flawless in our eyes, yet the reality of their character may be far more nuanced and complex than what we first perceive. The Stoic insight here is that vision, or perception, is not simply an automatic process. It is one shaped by our internal beliefs, attachments, and judgments. The world we see is colored by the stories we tell ourselves about it. For example, the Stoics urge us to recognize that when we look at a difficult situation or a setback in our lives, we are often influenced by our emotions, seeing only the negatives or the challenges, when in fact there may be opportunities for growth, wisdom, or resilience hidden within those same challenges. Our perception in this sense can be deceiving, as it is shaped by our internal state. Metaphorically, vision extends into the realm of insight and wisdom. The eyes are symbolic of our ability to truly understand the deeper truths of the world. Stoicism encourages us to see beyond the surface, to pierce through the illusions of superficial appearances, and to cultivate a deeper vision, one that is grounded in reason, virtue, and acceptance of reality. To have true vision is not simply to see what is physically in front of us, but to recognize what is beneath the surface of events and situations. It is about understanding the nature of things and recognizing what is within our control versus what is not. This metaphorical vision requires introspection and a clear mind, unclouded by emotional disturbance or external distractions. In relationships, the power of vision is particularly important. It is easy to fall in love with someone based on the image they project, whether that image is created by social norms, personal desires, or romantic fantasies. We might look into their eyes and see only what we want to see: beauty, kindness, or potential, without recognizing the full scope of their character. Stoic philosophy calls us to see others with a more discerning eye, to recognize both their virtues and their flaws, and to love them not for the image they project, but for the person they truly are. True love, according to the Stoics, is built on a foundation of wisdom and understanding, not on a surface-level perception of perfection. To love with true vision is to embrace the whole person, acknowledging both their strengths and weaknesses. Moreover, the Stoic idea of vision emphasizes the importance of seeing things as they truly are, without embellishment or distortion. In our daily lives, we often get caught up in the way we think things should be, influenced by societal expectations or personal desires. We might look at a difficult situation and feel discouraged, believing that it should not be happening, when in fact it is simply a part of the natural flow of life. Stoicism teaches that we must develop the ability to see things objectively, without imposing our own judgments or emotions onto them. This vision allows us to respond to life's challenges with calmness and equanimity, understanding that everything is subject to change and that our true power lies in how we respond to those changes, not in trying to control them. Ultimately, the power of vision, in both its literal and metaphorical senses, is central to the Stoic journey. It is about seeing the world with clarity and insight, understanding that what we perceive on the surface may not always reflect the deeper truths beneath. It is about recognizing that our emotions, desires, and expectations can color our perception, and that true wisdom comes from seeing the world as it is, not as we wish it to be. By developing this deeper vision, we align ourselves more closely with reality, cultivating a life of virtue, wisdom, and acceptance. Whether in love, work, or daily interactions, this Stoic vision helps us navigate the complexities of life with grace and resilience, embracing what is before us with clarity and understanding. Honesty and lies, especially from a Stoic perspective, play a significant role in understanding the nature of truth, virtue, and the human condition. In Stoic philosophy, truth is central to achieving wisdom, inner peace, and resilience. The Stoics believed that by aligning ourselves with reality and understanding the world as it truly is, we could cultivate virtue and achieve tranquility. Lies, whether told by others or by ourselves, create a barrier between us and the truth, leading to confusion, emotional turmoil, and misplaced attachments. Thus, the Stoic approach to honesty is not simply about moral correctness, but about clearing the path toward a clearer, more virtuous life. At the core of Stoicism is the understanding that the world is governed by natural laws, and it is through aligning our thoughts, actions, and emotions with these laws that we find harmony. To do this, we must recognize the truth in all things, truth about our own nature, the nature of the world, and the nature of our relationships with others. This is why the Stoics held honesty in such high regard. To be honest, they argued, is not just a moral obligation, but a means of seeing the world as it truly is. When we deceive ourselves, we misalign with reality, leading to confusion, frustration, and suffering. A common theme in Stoic thought is that our emotions often arise from our misguided beliefs and false perceptions. When we lie to ourselves, whether about our capabilities, our relationships, or our circumstances, we are only deepening the disconnection between what is real and what we wish to believe. These lies cloud our judgment, leading us to react impulsively or emotionally to situations that we cannot control, such as the actions of others or the unfolding of external events. By denying the truth, we deny ourselves the opportunity to respond rationally, a key principle in Stoic thought. To live virtuously, then, is to be honest, not only with others but with ourselves. However, Stoicism also acknowledges the complex nature of truth in human relationships. Sometimes, what may appear to be a lie might be told with good intentions or out of a desire to protect someone from harm. This form of lying, often referred to as a white lie, poses a moral dilemma. The Stoics would caution that while the intent behind such a lie might not be malicious, it still leads to distortion, even if it serves to avoid immediate discomfort or pain. For instance, telling someone that they look great, despite knowing that they do not, may temporarily protect their feelings, but it also obscures the truth. In the long run, these small lies build a foundation of dishonesty, making it harder to establish trust and openness. The Stoic approach to honesty encourages us to speak truthfully while remaining compassionate. It is not about bluntly expressing every thought or opinion, but about avoiding deliberate deception and being true to our understanding of reality. In relationships, honesty allows us to create a foundation of trust, which is necessary for growth and mutual understanding. If we withhold the truth, we are not only dishonoring the other person, but also betraying our own integrity, as we are failing to act in accordance with our rational nature, which seeks clarity and truth. Moreover, the Stoics teach that accepting the truth, no matter how uncomfortable is an essential part of personal growth. When we face difficult truths about ourselves, our relationships, or our situation, we are better equipped to act rationally and wisely. Acknowledging uncomfortable realities rather than avoiding them through lies or denial is the path to personal strength and emotional resilience. The Stoics were not advocating for a life free of pain or hardship, but a life in which we confront the world as it is, without distortion. By doing so, we become better equipped to respond with wisdom and maintain our inner peace, regardless of external circumstances. In this context, lies, even those we tell ourselves, can be seen as obstacles to personal freedom. They limit our capacity to act in accordance with our true nature, to live with virtue, and to face life's challenges with equanimity. The Stoic sage, in contrast, seeks to be honest not only in their outward speech, but also in their inward reflections. They strive for complete clarity, accepting their flaws and limitations without self-deception, and taking responsibility for their actions. Ultimately, The Stoic view of honesty teaches us that truth is not just an abstract moral ideal, but the foundation of a life lived in accordance with nature. By being truthful in our thoughts, words, and actions, we align ourselves with the universe's rational order, while lies, whether intended to protect, deceive, or manipulate, may offer temporary relief, they ultimately rob us of the peace and clarity that come from living truthfully. By embracing honesty, we clear away the fog of illusion, allowing us to see the world and ourselves more clearly, and in doing so, we unlock the power to live with integrity, wisdom, and emotional resilience. In Stoic philosophy, love and virtue are inseparable, with love being seen not as a fleeting emotion, but as a commitment to the well-being of others, grounded in wisdom and understanding. The Stoics believed that true love is rooted not in superficial appearances or momentary passions, but in the deeper recognition of shared values, mutual respect, and the pursuit of virtue. Love, in this sense, is more than an emotional connection. It is a choice to act in accordance with the best aspects of human nature, both for ourselves and for others. This understanding of love carries profound implications for how we view relationships, romantic or otherwise, and how we navigate the complexities of human emotions and desires. To understand love in the Stoic context, we must first recognize that love, like all emotions, can be subject to the same forces of perception and illusion. We often fall in love with an idealized version of someone, focusing only on their virtues or the aspects of their personality that we find most appealing. However, this type of love, based on the projection of our desires or fantasies, is fleeting and ultimately unsatisfying. The Stoics would caution against mistaking this passionate, surface-level connection for true love. They argued that true love is not about being swept away by emotions, but about recognizing the entire person, their strengths, weaknesses, virtues, and flaws, and accepting them with understanding and clarity. True love, according to Stoicism, is characterized by virtue. Virtue, in the Stoic sense, means living in accordance with reason and nature, acting in a way that is just, wise, courageous, and temperate. It is the pursuit of moral excellence, not for the sake of recognition or reward, but because it is the right way to live. When we approach love with this mindset, we move away from selfish or possessive desires and toward a love that is centered on the well-being of the other person. Love, in this sense, is not about seeking to fulfill our own emotional needs, but about seeking the good of the other person without expectation or attachment to a specific outcome. This kind of love is selfless and grounded in a deep understanding of what is virtuous. In romantic relationships, this understanding of love can transform the way we engage with our partners. Rather than seeking validation or happiness from the other person, we focus on fostering a relationship built on mutual respect, honesty, and shared values. We come to understand that love is not an emotion that can be controlled or manufactured, but a practice that requires ongoing effort and commitment. It is the conscious choice to act with kindness, patience, and integrity, even when the initial intensity of passion fades. The Stoics would argue that over time, the emotional highs of romantic love may ebb and flow, but the foundation of true love is built on virtue and mutual respect, and it is this foundation that sustains relationships in the long term. Moreover, the Stoic approach to love emphasizes the importance of emotional resilience. Since love is based on understanding, it helps us maintain inner peace, even when faced with the challenges and difficulties that inevitably arise in relationships. The Stoic sage recognizes that relationships, like all aspects of life, are subject to change. People are imperfect, and circumstances may shift, leading to pain, loss, or disappointment. But by grounding our love in virtue rather than in transient emotions, we are better able to navigate the ups and downs of relationships with equanimity. The Stoic does not avoid emotional pain, but faces it with courage and wisdom, understanding that it is part of the human experience. This resilience allows us to love without becoming overly attached or devastated by external circumstances, finding peace in the face of challenges. Furthermore, Stoicism teaches us that true love extends beyond romantic relationships to encompass all human connections. It encourages us to love all people, not out of a sense of obligation or duty, but because love, in its purest form, is an expression of our shared humanity. The Stoics understood that love is not limited to those with whom we have close personal ties. It is an attitude we cultivate towards everyone we encounter. This broader sense of love is rooted in the recognition that all people are connected by a common human nature, and that each individual, no matter how different they may seem, deserves respect, compassion, and understanding. In this way, love becomes a means of practicing virtue in the world. To love others, according to the Stoics, is to act with integrity, justice, and care, fostering a sense of community and contributing to the greater good. It is a commitment to seeing others as they truly are, understanding their humanity, and offering support and kindness when needed. This love is not possessive or transactional, but free from the expectation of return, rooted in the desire to promote the well-being of others and to live in harmony with the world. Thus, love, in the Stoic sense, is not about seeking external validation or emotional fulfillment, but about living in accordance with virtue, recognizing the shared humanity of others, and fostering deep, meaningful connections based on respect and understanding. By embracing this form of love, we not only enrich our relationships, but also align ourselves with the natural order, cultivating peace, wisdom, and resilience in our lives. In conclusion, the Stoic perspective on life, perception, love, and truth offers us profound wisdom that transcends fleeting emotions and superficial judgments. The Stoics teach us that while our eyes may see beauty, it is our deeper understanding that allows us to appreciate the true nature of things. They remind us that perception can deceive, and we must strive to see beyond the surface to understand reality as it truly is. The beauty of the world, much like our relationships, can be clouded by illusions and lies, but honesty and virtue help clear away these distortions, guiding us toward true peace and clarity. Love, in the Stoic sense, is not a mere romantic or emotional attachment, but a commitment to the well-being of others, rooted in wisdom, selflessness, and mutual respect. It is not about idealizing others or expecting perfection, but about accepting them for who they are, imperfections and all, and seeking to live virtuously in our connections. The Stoics teach that true love is grounded in virtue and emotional resilience, allowing us to navigate the ups and downs of life with equanimity and grace. It is love that doesn't demand, but rather gives freely, finding fulfillment not in what we receive, but in the act of loving itself. Ultimately, the Stoic way is a journey towards self-awareness, clarity, and wisdom, recognizing that our perceptions are often shaped by desires and illusions, and that only through honest reflection and virtuous action can we align ourselves with reality. By embracing Stoic teachings, we gain the power to see the world with clarity, respond to life with wisdom, and love others in a way that is deep, enduring, and true. Through this, we not only find peace but live a life that is full of purpose, grounded in the timeless principles of virtue and reason.